Welcome to the Business Happy Hour radio show with your host, Frank the Bank Cotto, the owner of Lincoln Lending Group right here in Tampa Bay for 23 years. Joined by his incredible co-host, Ksenia Akishina, realtor with Mahara and Associates, Tampa's top real estate company. Together, they have helped finance and close nearly $1 billion of real estate every year. If you're looking for local mortgage or real estate advice, the Business Happy Hour team has been right here on News Radio WFLA for over a decade. Listen right here or find us on the Business Happy Hour YouTube channel or follow us on Instagram at Frank the Bank Cotto. Now sit back, relax, and get ready for some serious mortgage, real estate, and business talk with two of Tampa's top experts. Here's Frank the Bank and Ksenia.
Hey Tampa Bay, welcome back to the Business Happy Hour, your number one show for all things business and entrepreneurial. And today, your number one show for legal, judges, attorneys, and all matters of elections. Because guys, we are coming up on a election that a lot of you might not even know is happening here in just a couple weeks. We are going, I wouldn't call this the midterms, right? What do we call this? Judge Liz Jack is on the show. I'm just going to ask her because I don't even know what the heck to call it. But Judge Liz Jack, what are these elections that are coming up? What is it called?
They are the midterm primaries. So people who have party affiliations can vote for who they want to go to the general election in November. And then a lot of more local races are thrown in there in August. If there's only two candidates, it's decided in August. If there are three and none of the three get 50% plus a vote, it goes to the general in November.
Okay. See, I didn't even really know. I knew we had elections, but I didn't know what it was. By the way, you can move your mic over a little bit just so you're more, there you go, so you're more centered. I wanted to make sure everybody could hear you loud and clear on these microphones. But that's interesting. So Judge Liz Jack is going to be our guest today. I had to bring her on right away because I didn't even know what to call our elections. Of course, I've got Ksenia Akishina, my amazing co-host. How you doing, Sen?
Hello. Always good to be here.
Yes, it's wonderful to see you.
Yeah.
Yes. Are you ready for school to start back?
Oh man, it's all just sneaking up on me. I can't believe summer is pretty much over.
I know.
That's kind of our, when kids go back to school, that's it. Summer's done.
It's pretty much done. My brother, who doesn't have kids, messaged me yesterday. He's like, hey, so what are the kids doing for summer? What's going on? I'm like, summer is like done. It's over.
They're all dreading going back to school.
Yeah. My son comes to me last night. He goes, tonight's the last night that I can sleep in. And I'm like, no, you actually have one more day if you count the day you can sleep in Thursday. He's like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. Of course, now summer reading. Do your kids do summer reading?
Yeah.
They do? Judge Liz Jack, do you have kids in school now or no?
I have a 22-year-old and a 24-year-old.
So they're not doing summer reading then.
I know how it goes.
You know how it goes, right? Remember that summer reading stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and how many of them actually do it is what I want to know. Because if I talk to some of the friend crews, I don't hear a lot of them have read their books. And funny thing is, I was not a big reader, right? But I was a talker, clearly. But there was one book that stood out to me as a kid, and I loved it more than anything. It's actually a book I would consider reading again, which sounds crazy. It was The Great Gatsby, right? And they turned it into a movie, actually a couple movies, an old one and then one with DiCaprio. And I told my son that was one of his summer reading books. Oh. And I'm like, Landon, this book is good. I'm like, read it. He's like, no, I don't know. He's like, I read some of them, or I'll do that. Hopefully these teachers aren't listening, But I said, and some of the kids were like, well, we do the Cliff's Notes. Do you remember Cliff's Notes?
Oh, yeah.
Of course,
still
yes.
have those. Like,
Wow.
I can't believe it. And I'm like, if these teachers were even half smart right now, they would just be like, okay, go to AI and give me all the questions that are not in the Cliff's Notes.
Or have ChatGPT just summarize it for you.
Right. Well, I have a feeling that's
no,
what
I
they're
mean,
doing.
I hope people still read. Reading is great,
It is.
and there's just nothing like a good book. Even the movies don't compare, especially to a great book.
No. Have you both read that book, The Great Gatsby?
Many times.
Yeah.
I was an English lit major in college.
Oh.
Yeah, wonderful book. So beautifully, simply written.
It is.
And a great story.
An amazing story. I mean, I could read that book over and over. And there was another one. I don't know why we're talking about books right now, but there's another one, The Great Santini. Anyway, it's a similar, not the same story, but also a story about a great man and a son. Anyway, enough about summer reading. Kids, get back to your summer reading. You've got just a few days left to get that done. And teachers, I would totally check the Cliff's Notes and quiz them on the stuff that's not in there to make sure they actually do their summer reading. So it's going to be a great show. We're going to have Judge Liz Jack, obviously, in studio with us. We're going to find out a little bit about this election that's coming up, which it's only a couple weeks away. So we want to prepare you to click the little box or bubble for Judge Liz Jack, because I think that'll be a great decision. But in the meantime, as we talk about our weekend and our real estate stats and all that with Senia, I want you guys to go to, very easy, Keep Judge Liz Jack, L-I-Z, keepjudgelizjack.com, or you can find her on Facebook, the same, Keep Judge Liz Jack, or you can go to Instagram, Keep Judge Liz Jack, and check it out, and you can learn a little bit more about her and why to vote for her. But it's pretty neat because you are running for re-election, right? You've already been a judge for a while, and you have a competitor, I guess you could say, an opponent.
I do. I ran in 2019-2020, and I won that election. And so I took the bench January 2021. Once a judge starts serving, they're on the ballot every 6 years. If you win an election and you fill an empty seat, which is what I did, then I have a 6-year term, and then I do 6-year terms after that. When someone's appointed by the governor, they're on the next ballot, which could be a year or two out, and then they get into their 6-year term rotations.
Interesting.
When a judge has been sitting for a while, it's not common that you see their names again because they don't have an opponent. This year I have an opponent. I ran in 2020. We fired up the machine. We're doing it again, and you'll see my name on the ballot in August.
Yes.
But overall, it's been a wonderful experience. I've had enormous support from the bar and the attorneys. And so sitting judges don't usually get the opportunity to see how people feel about them. So that's been great.
Do they probably not tell you the truth a lot of times?
Well, I would like to think that they're telling the truth. They've submitted unsolicited testimonials saying what their experience before me in court is like. So that's been
awesome.
very, and the St. Pete Bar gave me Judge of the Year in May of this year, their highest award. So I will choose to believe that it's sincere.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
congratulations on that.
And I like her outlook on it. It's, hey, now I actually have an opportunity to see what they really think and, get some feedback.
I mean, it's got to be kind of exciting. You're in a nonpartisan, position, and you don't hopefully have the vitriol that we see in other campaigns and stuff. Well, maybe a little bit, right? but it's like you said, a lot of we don't hear about judges' elections that often, and you've kind of explained it to us. It's because if a lot of them run unopposed, right, and they just keep remaining as judge. What I find interesting that I would kind of like to know is this whole thing about different terms in different positions. Like, who made this up? You get 6 years, the president's 4 years, some people are 2 years. Like, how does any rhyme or reason to 6 years for judges?
I'm not sure how or when that started, but for state court, it's 6 years. And the appellate judges are appointed from the very beginning. They're never elected, but then they come up for retention every 6 years, and they're on the ballot. I've never seen one have an opponent, and I've never seen one voted out. Wow. But yeah.
So they're actually appointed, not elected, and then they have to be elected?
Yes, but it's just a yes or no, keep or kick out. So
you got to be a bad guy for them to mark no, I guess.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean,
like I said, never seen it happen.
No. And later in the show, we're going to talk about what you do when you get to the voting booth, listeners, when you see a bunch of names and you don't know who to vote for. There's some funny stories. Our producer was in here earlier being like, some people go for the girl name. Some people go for the coolest name. I know, well, I'm not going to say it now. I'll say later what I do when I see the ballot, because I think we all kind of have our own habit. If you don't know, and a lot of times they say don't vote if you don't know the person, which I don't know. I'll get your opinion later on whether we should vote or not. But before we do all that, we like to start the show with kind of what's been going on. And we know summer is over, or it's almost over, so we're about to get into our routines. Senia, is routine good or bad? I mean, we're in real estate. Do we like having a routine? Do people like us? Do we already have one, or we can just kind of bob and weave because we're self-employed?
Oh, you know what? I don't know. I like routines in some regard, but then also I do have a, spontaneous nature.
Right.
Like in summertime, I do like it. Oh, hey, it's a Tuesday and I don't have any work stuff going on.
Right.
Oh, Tuesday's not the day, but let's say Wednesday.
Let's not say Tuesday.
And if I want to, take my daughter to the beach, or we want to go do something fun, like that's kind of fun where you have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
Back to the routines. Yeah, it's all structured, wake up, do your thing, and
Now, one thing I've noticed, and I'm speaking to the parents who have kids who are probably mid-teens, or maybe they're driving, because now my son's this is my first year where my son's driving, right? And we're kind of over the scare of him being on the road a little bit. You still worry. Right? I don't know if you're ever really over that, but what I've noticed, my wife and I were joking the other day is, God, are they expensive? When they start driving and you get these green light requests and this, and I'm here, I'm playing golf, I need $40, or I'm going to dinner. I'm like, at what point do we just be like, no, come home and eat?
The broke best friends.
Like we had we had a guest last week, Judge Liz Jack, and she calls her daughter her broke best friend. And I thought it was the cutest, funniest thing I've ever heard. And I called my wife afterwards. I was like, where's your broke best friend? And she's like, oh, we're at International Mall. I'm like, exactly. So anyway, parents, we feel your pain. Sen and I are about to get into the routine again. And I'm with you, Sen. I kind of like the spontaneous nature of summer and just being able to do what you want when you want. But at the same time, it is hard to get in a groove. It's hard to stay at it. And I can imagine, hold on, do judges have summers?
We have ebb and flow of work. So I have over 1,000 cases at a time.
Oh my
I get
gosh.
50 new ones a month and close about 50 to 100 a month, close 50 to 100.
Oh.
And then there's the small pool of regularly high conflict occurring litigation. So, but holiday time and summertime, there is a flood of litigation over the issues you'd expect.
Of
School
course.
choice in the summer, and where's the child going to go to school in the fall? And over the winter, there often are disputes about holiday time sharing and different interpretations. So I block out time. We're not going to schedule a lot of regular things then because the emergencies are just going to start popping off.
I cannot wait to hear about this. So when we get back from the break, we're going to do a little bit on real estate statistics. We're going to see what a judge thinks of the real estate market. And she's not in real estate, but we're going to make her give her opinion on what happened year over year. And should we be believing the clickbait? And don't forget, we have some special programs. Senia will find you the home, and we will find you the free 1% off your rate through August 30th. You got to go to LincolnLendingGroup.com or text me directly, and you'll get 1% off your rate through August 30th if you lock in. We'll be back in just a minute with Judge Liz Jack and Senia Kishina. All right, take a quick break. I'm going to run to the restroom really quick. That was perfect. That was awesome.
Good.
You did great. And we are on Instagram, don't forget.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. So, it goes pretty quick.
Yeah.
So this was our quick segment. Then the next one's a little longer. So it's 8:12, 8:12.
Okay.
But still, it goes by very fast.
12, 8.
Oh, 12. So that was already the 12 one? Oh, gosh. Okay. So I guess this next one's the quick one. But yeah, Frank makes it really, conversational. And usually we run out of time and there's so many other things we want to talk about.
Yeah, I can see that. I've taught some classes, gone into schools, high school, college, just to discuss family law and what's it like. Mm-hmm. And I usually prepare and practice so I know exactly how much time. And for one recent one, I didn't do that. And I had put out my outline of what I was going to talk about. I think we were 10% into it and the class ended. The kids were asking questions and I didn't even scratch the surface. There's so much to all of these things. Mm-hmm. And everybody wants to know about real estate. I know 2 people looking right now, so I'm interested in what the market looks like.
Boom. All right, we did great on the first segment. Let's get rocking and rolling, James, whenever you're ready.
All the best mortgage or real estate advice from Tampa Bay's top experts. It's the Business Happy Hour with Frank the Bank Cotto and Senia Kishina.
All right, Tampa Bay, welcome back to the Business Happy Hour. Today is a legal show. We actually have a sitting judge in studio right now who we hope is going to be sitting here in a couple months as well with us because I think she's going to get reelected to her position. But that'll be for you to decide. And what you got to do is go to keepjudgelizjack.com, or you can find her on Instagram or Facebook for the same handle, Keep Judge Liz Jack, and you can learn more from her website than what we're going to learn today because we only have a short amount of time. But before that, let's talk real estate. Senia Akishina, my co-host now for how many? We're over 2 years, right?
Over 2 years. Yeah, going on 2.5.
2.5 years.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
That's crazy, though. It flew by.
It really did. You remember your first show?
Oh, gosh. And actually, my very first one was in your office.
Oh, that's right.
Studio. And yeah, you completely put me on the spot. And I know there's a lot of like awkward silence coming from me.
Oh man, she does a great job though, doesn't she? I mean, Sen, you have really come into your own, and I try to get her to do it by herself. She's like, no. So anyway, so every week, Senia brings us real estate statistics, and we do a comparison of what happened in the same month last year to this year. So are we looking at what July right now?
I've got June numbers.
July will probably come out in the
July.
next week.
I'll have probably like a week or two.
So these stats are June to June, and Senia always has something surprising for us. And Senia, what do we have? What's going on?
Well, you always ask, and it's always the is there anything exciting? I think it's exciting that things have just been steady.
Right.
There's really no big fluctuations one way or the other, except the number that I've been calling out that has been surprising me is the inventory has been down.
Right. And what happens when inventory is down?
Well, I mean, buyers just don't have as many choices.
Right.
So I think that's part of the reason why our median sale price is actually up. Not a huge amount, but across all 3 counties, median sale price was up in Hillsborough, Pinellas, and Pasco. And that's year over year for June. And we typically just talk about single family homes.
So Sen, I have had 2 people. All right, and in full disclosure, because they might be listening right now, Tony and Wally, I'm calling you guys out, old good friends of mine, actually both fraternity brothers, believe it or not, and they don't talk about this, not that they don't talk, but and they both, I'm sorry, Andy and Wally, they both think the sky is falling. I'm on the phone with both of them yesterday, actually separately. Yesterday evening, one of them, who was a big financial planner in Orlando, he's like, we're due for this correction, and he's been saying that to me for years. We're at the correction. It's gonna drop. The market's gonna drop. The stock market's gonna have a terrible time. All this stuff. Last night he's got a little more specific, and he goes, "Well, the first correction, it's gonna come in the next couple weeks." And I just love kind of hearing that from people because none of us have a crystal ball. Nobody knows. And by the way, if you do, share it with us, okay? Because we wouldn't be talking to each other. We wouldn't be friends right now. You'd be so rich. But he thinks the market's like literally just gonna fall out from the bottom in 2 weeks. I don't believe it. I still haven't believed that for years. My other buddy lives in Texas. He's like, he buys hundreds of homes. And he's like, I'm not buying real estate in Florida right now. I'm only buying in Texas. I'm like, why? Well, because the Florida market's about to just go. Commercial's going to go. Multifamily's going to go. It's all just going to tank and it's going to fall. Now, flip that to Ray Mahara, who Senia works for. He's one of the biggest brokers in Carewood in the Tampa area. And Ray has always been involved in the REO sales for many years, buying and selling with the big boys, is what we'll call them, like the BlackRocks and people like that will tap Ray and say, hey, we've got inventory. We need you to jump in. And from what he told me, he hadn't heard from him in a long time. But in the last couple months, they've been calling him. All right. They've been saying, hey, we got to get back in the market. So I told my buddy yesterday, I'm like, you're getting out, but the guys with billions and billions of dollars are getting in. To me, that shows the market is strong and the floor is not going to fall out. So I'm not.
You know what? Honestly, it's the whole crystal ball thing. I wish we all had it. And I do think that we all, even in the real estate community, after all the craziness and the, pandemic market, because things were a bit crazy. Inventory was super, super low. Interest rates were really low. So, I mean,
prices went up.
Prices went way up.
Right. And everybody thought they're going to drop after that.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's been what, three years now that we're all thinking, since interest rates went up,
right?
Hey, is the correction coming? And we haven't seen it.
Right.
Now, to your friend's point, though, I do think that the real estate market is reactive to just all the things going on globally. Obviously, the war.
Right.
I think the gas prices. So I'm curious to see how our July numbers will pan out, if they're going to reflect any of this.
Right.
I also think there's been talk that, hey, we might not see interest rate cuts for, who knows how long. Those are ones that I never even try to predict anymore.
I know.
But I mean, there probably is a segment where, I've already been waiting. It's not looking like it's coming. Then you know what? Maybe that'll finally get them off the fence.
Yeah. Like how many years do you wait? And now it's been over 3.
Yeah. And if you're not currently a homeowner that's looking to sell and the sellers maybe are not putting their homes on the market, then inventory is limited.
Right.
And also with the tax, I don't know how that'll pan out.
Well,
but the property tax thing, that'll definitely drive some.
We do happen
activity.
to have someone in the in the court's legal system over here with us. So maybe we're going to ask Judge Liz Jack, do you know anything about this property tax thing?
I am like you as a citizen. I'm really curious to see if it passes.
Yeah.
I know that it will greatly affect libraries and first responders and a lot of entities that get their money from property taxes, and budgets are going to have to be slashed if it passes. But it could put more money in our citizens' pockets. I don't have a prediction. Do you have a prediction?
So my prediction is that we're going to hear a bunch of crap from both sides as this gets closer to the election. And I think exactly what you said is going to be one of the talking points. One side's going to be like, they're taking away all your services. And the other side is going to say, no, we're not, and it just depends on, what you listen to. But I think if you look at it as a whole, it would be a major impact on Florida real estate. I think it could spur Florida real estate and thus the Florida economy to a level that we haven't seen in 10 years. And, not for nothing, whether you're a homeowner or not, when people have money, it creates jobs and it creates opportunities. And I'm kind of a feeling like, it's not going to help everybody. I think it's just for primary residences and whatnot. So I don't think it's going to help like investors necessarily, from what I understand. But right now, there's just so much crap out there about it.
There is, and I like the idea behind it.
Right.
Would it help a lot of people if taxes were lower? But I don't necessarily I didn't do like a thorough deep dive of what's on the table. And there are just some things that don't quite, make sense to do it that way.
Right. So you're right.
The idea behind it is good.
If you lower revenue, you think you have to cut something. But, people also don't consider that sometimes, the way our economy works, where we just keep increasing the budget is not the way either.
Well, talk of the proponents is that they have a surplus because of what happened with our prices pretty much doubling, so taxes, went along with that.
Right. And we got to take a break here. When we get back, we'll finish this up and then we'll talk a little bit more of the stats and then learn about Judge Liz Jack. Who is she? How did she become a judge? And how does an attorney become a judge in the state of Florida? Stay tuned to the Business Happy Hour. We'll talk legal stuff. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yep. Senia is a little covered by her mic. Let's see. Wonder if we can. Which way do you suggest I move her? Or
better? So
okay. I moved you right a little bit. Yeah, I see what he's saying because you had the mic like right in front of your face.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this better?
Yeah. Let me see what I can do for Judge Jack. That arm is in the way. All right, give me 1 second. Let me see. Let's see what he's saying. Let's get you a nice clean view here. This let me.
That one's a funky one.
No, how can I adjust that for her? You know what we're gonna do? Why don't? Let me ask if I can do this. James, can I raise her up and raise the camera? Because the camera seems pointed low. I've never had to have a guest seated so low before.
How is this? Is this better?
All right, let me do that. Let me raise.
I just moved it a little. Is that better?
That is actually better. Yeah, let's do that a tiny bit more, Sam. But I'm gonna raise her seat up. Let me do that because it's like covering her chin. All right, let's lift you up just a tiny bit. Raise your seat. I'm just gonna adjust this ever so slightly.
Is mine okay?
I think somebody knocked that camera down.
He said it doesn't have to be centered, but James, is this okay for Judge Liz?
That looks really good.
Okay,
That's phenomenal. Yeah, she actually looks taller. All right, and Sen, now you're a little low. Raise your seat up. Can you? Better? Oh, you look much better. Yeah, much better.
Go even higher.
Yep. Okay, everybody. I like it, James. Everybody look good. All right, perfect. Yes, I know. Okay, we actually coordinated this. Look at this. Look. I've been in my summer gear all summer. I was like, well, I got a judge coming on. I should probably put on a company shirt.
Welcome to the Business Happy Hour radio show with your host, Frank the Bank Cotto, the owner of Lincoln Lending Group right here in Tampa Bay for 23 years. Joined by his incredible co-host, Senia Akishina, realtor with Mahara & Associates, Tampa's top real estate company. Together, they have helped finance and close nearly $1 billion of real estate every year. If you're looking for local mortgage or real estate advice, the Business Happy Hour team has been right here on News Radio WFLA for over a decade. Listen right here or find us on the Business Happy Hour YouTube channel. channel or follow us on Instagram at Frank the Bank Kodo. Now sit back, relax, and get ready for some serious mortgage, real estate, and business talk with two of Tampa's top experts. Here's Frank the Bank and Senia.
All right, Tampa Bay, welcome back to the show. Before the break, we were talking briefly about the property tax thing that's going to be on the ballot for sure. And we'll just I'm going to leave it with this so we can get back to stats and we learn a little bit about Judge Liz Jack here. And don't forget to find her at keepjudgelizjack.com or the same thing on Facebook or Instagram to learn more about her and her campaign and why you should click the little bubble for Judge Liz Jack here in a couple weeks. By the way, it's why you should vote. Less people vote in these elections than should, so we want to get more of you guys out there. So this is why we're having Judge Liz Jack on the show. So this whole thing is, you're right, Sen. What you said before the break, that's the DeSantis angle, is that we had a surplus. And you would think we have to have a surplus because like we're in real estate. Property values literally doubled. Taxes doubled. Right. So you've got more money, and a lot of people run on budgets. And the funny thing about state budgets is if they don't spend it, they lose it. And I don't like that. But that's kind of just the way it is. So I would love to finally see something go back to the people or something get cut, that's unnecessary. For example, the Florida prepaid. Did you do Florida prepaid for your children?
I did.
Now, were they in it when they started sending money back to you and whatnot?
No.
So you just...
Is there a check out there with my name on it?
You actually might want to call. I'm not even joking because they didn't really make it announce it. Did you do it for your kids, Senia?
No.
Oh, God. Senia, you go home right now and you do the Florida prepaid when you get home. But the Florida prepaid is basically you enroll your kid when they're born or any age after that. The younger they are, the cheaper. And we had a surplus in the prepaid system. And they literally wiped out balances. Like for I can't remember exactly, but like my son, we had been paying for so long. I can't remember when he was like 12. All of a sudden they're like, you're done. And we're supposed to be paying till we're 18. And it was done because they had a surplus. And then my daughter, the payment dropped in half for what it was supposed to be. So it was like, it's such a gift when the government gives you something. It's like, take it. So I recommend you guys vote for to get rid of the property taxes. One way or another, we're going to figure it out. If you have less money for fire, they're just going to tax us next time for the fire anyway, or for police.
Listen, as we get closer, I really think we need to have somebody on here again where we could really drill into some of the logistics of it, pros, cons, and kind of try to get a better idea on both sides.
James, can you find us that politician? I don't know who to look for, but I bet you James can find it for us.
But hey, I don't want to run out of time. There's so many things that I want to ask you about.
On that issue, obviously, I'm neutral. As a citizen, I will vote, and I need to educate myself more before I decide. But I wouldn't take a position on a political issue publicly.
Right, no, and we don't expect you to. Should we just go into...
Well, to finish up stats,
please.
listen, June numbers show us that the sky is not falling. Right. But the one thing I want to say, and I don't think you actually know this, I don't know if Ray does, but when I decided to go into real estate, I kind of really wanted to know everything before, making the jump. So I worked for a real estate attorney. And this is right before, our crash in 2008. So we ended up doing more family law.
Oh.
Real estate law training turned into family law. And I will say, it was not my favorite. I don't know how you guys do it. It's just very emotional when you're dealing. So I really want to get into just, your job and how it is as a judge.
Yeah. Tell us about you. Where'd you come from? How do you become a judge?
Well, I grew up in the Boston area, and I went to Boston College undergrad. I went into publishing and lived in San Francisco, ended up at the University of Chicago after deciding to go to law school, and went there. Thought I'd do intellectual property because I was coming from publishing world, and fell in love with my first criminal law course. True crime and mens rea, what's a person's intent? All those different nuances were fascinating to me. And I'd always read true crime. So I loved that. Did internships at the Department of Justice, the Office of Legal Counsel, which advises the White House one summer, which was a wonderful experience. Met Janet Reno. She was our Attorney General at the time.
Yeah.
Internships at the U.S. Attorney's Office, Cook County State Attorney's Office, and then ended up moving to Tampa and did a 2-year federal clerkship over in the U.S. Middle District of Florida, and ended up prosecuting both in Pinellas, and I started in Hillsborough, moved to Pinellas, and I was a prosecutor for many years. I took a break in there to go back to school for psychology, was working on a master's, potentially wanting a PhD. And I was studying co-parenting issues. I went through a divorce when my kids were really little, and I could see how people could benefit from more knowledge in that area about brain development and the effect of conflict on kids. And I was interested in pursuing family law. I helped obtain a grant to bring mental health services into the dependency courtroom, and I worked with a judge in Dade City to do that. That was the beginning of what we called baby court. It's now expanded to Pinellas and Pasco. It's called early childhood court, and it helps people who are affected by their own trauma, which results in abuse or neglect of their children, learn to stay present when they're triggered and see what they're doing to their child. And it's transformative. Loved that. Missed prosecuting, learned what I needed to learn, but I wanted to get back into the legal system. So I was the first attorney Bernie McCabe, our state attorney, hired back in Pinellas. And I worked there for 6 years, so 12 years prosecuting total. And I was serving on the Judicial Nominating Commission, thinking I'd be a career prosecutor. And once I started interviewing candidates for open appointments and thinking about what it was I loved about prosecuting, it really was about putting the law above any desire to see someone prosecuted. It was about what does the law say and interpreting it, and what are the facts, and can I prove this? And I realized that the way I was performing as a lawyer was really similar to what a judge does, and it opened my mind to wanting to be a judge. And when you're on the Judicial Nominating Commission, you can't be appointed for a couple of years.
Okay.
And that's being hit by a bolt of lightning anyway. There's many qualified people applying through that process who have connections in Tallahassee with the governor. So I ended up, an open seat opened up. Judge Covert was retiring, a former prosecutor, and I ran for his seat beginning in 2019. We were rolling along, and then COVID hit. Oh. And it was the strangest, wildest ride. Everything became virtual. And the person helping me, she was wonderful. It was her first campaign, my first campaign, and we just figured out how to do it, and we won by a large percentage. Oh. And in August of 2020, and I took the bench January 2021.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must have been wild.
It was wild. And the experience I've had in the last 5.5 years on the bench, I feel like the skills I've learned, it wasn't a direct path. It wasn't intended to be a direct path. I didn't know it would result in me being a judge. But I absolutely do believe I had the experiences I needed, developed the skills I needed that have allowed me to serve well. And it's both fulfilling, and I work very hard to do the best job as I can for our citizens.
I got to say, you seem like you love it.
I do.
People will say that to Sen and I, like, oh, you guys like real estate. Does it not seem like she just loves your job?
I really do. The issues are fascinating. I love detail and data and handling the evidence. Family law is an unusual area of law because the judge both deals with the parties and the attorneys in court, and there's all these high emotions and personalities to manage to get them through the process. And then you're, managing your own stuff so you can stay calm and patient. Yeah. And then separate from that,
you mean you have a life?
you put on a different hat, and you're the jury, you're the fact finder. Uh-huh. So then when evidence is submitted, you're determining, who do I believe? And what evidence is credible, and how much weight should I give it?
Is there no jury in any family law?
No. There's one issue that you have a right to a jury for, and it is common law for many, many years. In a paternity case, when the issue in dispute is this man the father of the baby? He's entitled to a jury trial. Now, given the onset of DNA to prove paternity, what was that, the late 80s?
Yeah.
I don't think there's been a trial on that anywhere ever. But
Jerry Springer probably had a trial.
But there's so much going on intellectually and then emotionally, like emotional intelligence-wise, managing it all. And it's super creative. And unlike criminal law, where the procedures are so constitutionally required that you do things in a certain way in a certain order, in family, it really is about problem solving. And if everyone is on board with doing things uniquely for a particular case, it's all perfectly fine. So every case is unique and the process is unique, and then obviously the evidence is unique. So I love it. It's very engaging at all times.
Man, okay, so like Sen and I, we call it work-life balance. You kind of framed it in a different way because you're dealing with people's problems and you ultimately have to make decisions, but you have your own life. You said I put on a different hat. Like when you put that robe on, like does everything you're dealing with just go away and you now focus on these problems?
Oh, absolutely. And it's been encouraging. Like I didn't know how I would be as a judge. I'd never done it before.
Right.
It is very easy for me to both weigh the evidence that's going on in court, start forming my opinions, knowing that after I hear the other side, it could all change. And because I've had that experience over and over again, I truly am an open book until we get to the end. Being a prosecutor, you start off, you have to make decisions, really impactful decisions, and you're just out of law school. And you're doing that over and over, me after the clerkship, and you're doing it over and over again, and you develop that part of your brain that allows you to evaluate data, make those decisions, make a decision, and move on. Because justice delayed is justice denied, and you have to trust your intuition, and your intuition grows, and your ability to determine what you believe, and you have to do it all quickly.
I'm going to trust my intuition that we have to take a quick break right now on the Business Happy Hour. We'll be back in just a minute with more from Judge Liz Jack. Stay tuned. I was waiting for the perfect segue when you said that. I was like, okay, she's got like 8 seconds left. What am I going to do?
And we only got one more segment.
Yeah.
Like I have all these.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just rock and roll with your questions.
For...
And then we'll continue on. If you're okay, we'll continue on Insta to get some of the additional stuff out there. Because, I mean, that's just as good as what we've got here. And we can tell the listeners.
Well, we do need to promote. I mean, people can help, right? Logging into,
Oh, yeah. Are you taking donations and stuff?
We are till August 13th. We've raised $115,000. My opponents raised, I don't want to misstate it, but it might be like $18,000.
Oh, wow.
And then that money is used for mailers and signs and marketing. And so, various kinds of marketing, digital marketing.
Did you bring any signs?
I do. I have signs in my car
We're
always.
Yeah, I already asked her. We'll get some signs.
I've got Jim in my yard. I'll put you in my yard, too.
Excellent.
People will be like, this guy knows all the judges.
I have a rolling campaign mobile.
I figured you did. Okay, we're ready, James? All right. So we'll focus on hit the questions you want to do. And we'll just all judge Jack, and then we'll just keep going afterwards. When the show ends, I'll tell the listeners we're going to continue on Instagram.
Let's get back to the Business Happy Hour radio show with your host, Frank the Bank Cotto, owner of Lincoln Lending Group, and his co-host, Senia Akishina, realtor with Mahara and Associates.
All right, guys, we're back in studio with Judge Liz Jack. We want you guys to look her up online. That's keepjudgelizjack.com. Same thing for Facebook and Instagram. And before, Senia's got a bunch of great questions, so do I, and we only have one segment left, so we are going to continue the show on Instagram. So if you guys are listening in the mornings on Saturday and Sunday and you want to hear more with Judge Liz Jack, just go to Business Happy Hour or Lincoln Lending Group or Centerize Instagram page, and you will find the rest of this interview. One thing, before you go into your question, Sen, I want the listeners to know, Judge Liz Jack, who votes for you? What area votes for you?
It's all of Pasco, all of Pinellas is the 6th Circuit. It's almost 1.4 million.
Wow.
And everybody will see judges on their ballot regardless of party affiliation. And even if they're non-party affiliated, those races are on the ballot.
Because they're all nonpartisan.
Correct.
Right? Got it. Okay, so Pasco and Pinellas, listen, please, because you are going to see Judge Liz Jack. Is that what's going to say on the ballot?
Judge Elizabeth quotes Liz
Quote
Jack.
Liz. Okay, good. At least we'll see Liz. All right, Sen, you've got some great questions.
Well, I guess I'm curious, like, about your day-to-day. And you were just saying, like, a lot of, data you have to evaluate. Like, I can only imagine, especially when there's two opposing, people in a divorce, whatever. They probably have stacks of, I printed all my text messages that I saved. Like, what's your day-to-day look like? Are you, in a room just kind of going over all the evidence? How much time do you spend in the actual courtroom? Like, what's the day-to-day?
Sure. So we open up, I have a wonderful assistant, Amber, and we open up our calendar months in advance. Here's the time that's available for hearings. So there might be a reason that I block off time and don't offer it, but most of the time we're having hearings during the day. On average, an average week, we might have 40 to 50 hearings.
Oh my
and
gosh, really?
those could be a return on an emergency motion. Those could be just routine discovery disputes. Those could be what we call case management conferences, where the attorneys or the parties want to come together and just talk about where we are and lay out a timeline, or pre-trials or the like. Then I also have trial days and evidentiary hearing days. I'm a go with the flow person, so I've tried kind of saying this day we do this and that day we do that. No, for me, it's just we throw it all on there. Some things wash out. I end up getting enough writing time because often I have to write orders after the hearings. And attorneys also will help out and they'll write proposed orders. But many of these cases, there's an attorney on each side. Other cases, there's one attorney and one pro se party, people representing themselves.
How's that go?
And then I have double pro se parties.
Oh, gosh.
The one attorney, one pro se party take longer than the two pro se party cases. We have a wonderful general magistrate, and our policy is if we have double pro se cases, a lot of those go to her. But if I've already become involved with a case and there were attorneys, but they're so past that and now they're representing themselves, I stay on it. Or if it's a super emergency, I'll jump in and I'll keep that case. So we're busy all the time. People are asking for court dates, and we kind of prioritize and triage things. It's just necessary. So we try to leave enough time. We can handle emergencies as they come up. If it's a more routine matter where there isn't urgency, they may have to wait a little while to get the hearing time. But we really are customer service oriented.
Okay, so we're in customer service, I'm going to be interested to hear this answer. Are you 9 to 5? Like, how does a judge's life work? Like, we're like 9 to, I don't even know what number, right?
So we do offer hearing time. The courthouse, the MAG at the front, security is there. Bailiffs are there from 8:30 to 4:30. Okay. So we try to have hearings in that time. I can have Zoom hearings, of course, and I do. I think that saves parties a lot of money. Yeah. The unexpected benefits of meeting in person is a lot of times they work things out. Right. The attorneys have an opportunity to talk in the hall. It can be great, but it's a balance in court and by Zoom. And so, yeah, we try to keep regular hours for hearing times, but in terms of writing, I regularly get locked in the parking garage, and I have to have security come unlock it just for me.
Because you're sitting there writing yourself?
And now and then an issue will come up where I have to write an order, and I started one order Friday morning. Like, I didn't have court that day. I started Friday morning, and I finished Sunday night at like midnight. And I stopped to change and eat. And
just doing all that while running for
yeah.
a campaign.
Oh my gosh,
oh my gosh,
campaign
that's crazy.
too.
Yeah, and I really, there's always the possibility of an appeal. Right. And appellate courts give deference to the finding of facts. On the law, that's just a legal issue, and they review it for was I legally correct. Right. But with facts, especially if I'm making a very impactful decision on a family, I want to explain why did I find what I found. And so I feel like the parties and the attorneys, they deserve to understand my thought process. And I'm a wordsmith. I'm a English lit major and an attorney. We like a lot of words. Yeah. And so I write very detailed orders. I take extensive notes for whatever I do.
You've been taking notes, I know, during the show.
It's just who I am. So, I finish a trial and I'm making a very impactful decision. It's going to take me a long time to detail the evidence I heard, say why I found certain things credible, why I didn't find other things credible, synthesize the facts into the outcome, and explain all that.
So we only have a couple minutes left in the main show. What message would you like to get out to the listeners and to the people that are voting before we move into the second part of the show where we'll ask some questions on Instagram only?
Well, I think for most citizens, they will eventually end up in front of a judge. And for many of them, it is both a county judge or a circuit judge. County handles misdemeanors, traffic, those kinds of things, or small claims. With circuit judges, we handle all probate matters. Mm-hmm. We handle all family matters and civil matters that are over $50,000 in value and criminal felony matters. So whether you're a victim on a case or have been charged with a crime, if you're going through a divorce, even if you never marry someone and you buy property together, paternity cases, someone knocks on the door 10 years later. Hi, Dad.
Why is it got to be dad? No.
And moms usually know when they've given birth, I suppose. But
oh, there's stories.
I hear citizens complain about the legal system, and they complain about judges. And I think it's important that they're part of the process and understand how important those decisions are, and really research their judges. And so on my website, we have a couple hundred endorsements from practicing attorneys who want to see me stay on the bench, testimonials from those people. I have many elected official endorsements, and those are not, I didn't just knock on their door. I've been in the community 28 years. They know me, my values, they know how I work.
Yeah. Well, Judge Liz Jack, I feel you're a very honest, good person. You seem very normal. You have a normal life. You came from a great place. I would highly endorse people to vote for you in this position. So if you're in Pinellas County or you're in Pasco County, you're going to see Judge Elizabeth Liz Jack on the ballot, and I think you know what to do. But feel free to check her out at judgelizjack.com. Sen, thanks for joining with the great questions. We're going to
thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So Instagrammers, that's for the radio. We're probably off the air now, so they're not hearing us anymore. But for all you Instagrammers, we want to stay on for a few minutes and ask some more questions to Liz Jack. So please stay tuned and like and share the show. Judge Jack, you said something. I want to deviate to real estate a little bit. I didn't realize this. You handle probate? So
we judge it. I'm not assigned to probate.
Oh, okay.
And
That's
those are just
court.
the areas. Yes. And in the Sixth Circuit, we have 40-something circuit judges. So the chief judge assigns us to what courthouse and what area, but that can be divided up any way. So in rural areas, you might have a judge who has felony trials 1 week, civil trials the next, a couple days of probate. So I have jurisdiction to handle any of those matters. Just locally, I've been assigned certain kinds of cases, which don't include probate here.
Okay. I didn't know. You just said probate. I'm like, okay, well, I'm curious about probate, how that works. So for family law, I think Senny and I are, and I'm sure you've got some questions on this too, but the biggest thing that comes up with us in real estate is divorce. Right, obviously family law, and we'll deal with situations where we're representing one of the parties or we get involved. And the biggest thing that comes up from the mortgage company side, and I'll let Sen talk about the real estate side, is what happens when they're getting divorced. And there's a big difference between when the divorce is final and when it's not final. And you as a judge are the only person that can really supersede what the credit says or the mortgage says. And I'm sure you know this because you make these decisions. But when we have a couple who has just gotten divorced, and for example, one of the parties, I'm sure this is not uncommon, stops paying the mortgage. You're like, screw her. I'm just going to stop paying the mortgage and I'm not living in that house anymore. And then she's on the mortgage and her credit gets destroyed. When we go to do the mortgage, we actually don't count those late payments against her. Now, her credit score does get destroyed, so that hurts her. Don't get me wrong. But if your divorce decree says that he is responsible for the mortgage, it doesn't matter what's on her credit. The underwriter cannot count that against her. And they cannot count that payment against her, even if she's obligated on the note. Were you aware of that as a judge?
I was not at all.
Yeah.
I see a lot of issues. So I mentioned that we refer double pro se cases to the general magistrate. That's when there's active litigation. Every month I divorce a lot of people who are representing themselves, and they have decided amicably how they want to divide everything. And so they may have an idea for who's keeping the house and how that will all work, but it's so messy. And so over the years, I've now seen what issues arise when you don't prepare for the unexpected. And so I talk through with them, well, what will you do if there's a hurricane and the house is damaged? And how many payments, sir, would you like her to have had missed before you have the power to force the sale? Those kinds of things. Oh, wow. Because otherwise the agreement is silent on those things. Mm-hmm. And unless the court retains jurisdiction to address house-related disputes after the divorce is final, the court can't get involved in a lot of ways. So I try to avoid it by appointing really good realtors. And, I don't have a personal interest in who we use, but I know there are realtors who are good at working with parties in conflict and getting them to the finish line of selling a house. So I will suggest those realtors to the attorneys or the parties, and they can choose whoever they click with, and then just try and get them to the finish line, because I do have situations where I see a house is on the market and an offer's made and one party wants to take it and the other party doesn't.
Yes.
And maybe there's underlying motives, like they're secretly working on their own mortgage to try and buy the other party out, but it's unrealistic, and it's just
Yes.
And then there's what's happening in the market. I absolutely have seen the last 5.5 years. I feel like my finger is on the pulse of the market, and it's been a roller coaster. The increase in property values, once
Oh, you're good.
one spouse can't buy the other spouse out in many situations. They can't afford a mortgage at the refinanced rate based on their income.
Well, a lot of times they have to pay off the other spouse a percentage of equity. So what we run into on the mortgage side is they owe $200,000 on the house. There's another $2,000 of equity. She could afford the $200,000 mortgage, but she can't afford the $300,000 because she'd have to pay that other guy off. And then that's where we get into that forced sale situation. So we're in the mix. Like Senia's out